Terence fired back at Canelo for calling him an easy fight and easy money in response to Turki Alalshikh offering Canelo a potential fight.
I don't like the way he talk, and I'm not in this position because of any. I'm in this position. If he wants to work with me, it's in my way.
The relationship between Canelo Alvarez and Turki Alalshikh, a prominent Saudi Arabian boxing promoter, has recently turned sour, with the two figures clashing over the terms of a potential fight between Canelo and Terence Crawford.
I don't really care about it. Look, I'm focused 100% on my fight, and I don't really care about it. They called me yesterday. They text me yesterday if it's possible to talk about the Crawford fight for February or meet to yesterday here in Los Angeles with him, and I said, look, I'm 100% focused on this fight, and I can talk about other fights.
Turki Alalshikh, known for his involvement in bringing major boxing events to Saudi Arabia, was particularly eager to set up a bout between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. He viewed this matchup as a monumental event that could elevate the sport to new heights, especially within the Middle East. Alalshikh believed that this fight, featuring arguably the biggest star in boxing against one of the pound-for-pound best fighters, would draw significant global attention and bring substantial financial rewards.
As I tell before to the ESPN, I give him the offer. If he's smart, he will accept it.
So just so we're clear, so everyone understands, you've already sent an offer to Canelo to fight Terence Crawford if Terence Crawford wins tonight.
But if he doesn't, I want Ortiz.
You want Ortiz? Virgil Ortiz versus Terence Crawford?
Yeah, if they accept.
But the negotiation didn't go anywhere, and both of them have fallen off the table. This is because Canelo Alvarez has reportedly set a high financial demand, asking for around $150 million. Canelo's substantial asking price reflects his position as one of the sport's biggest stars, and he has made it clear that he would only consider the fight if his financial expectations are met.
Maybe that's why he talked about that today, because I say I'm not ready to talk about other fights. And I don't really ask him for anything. I'm good.
And that's fair.
After Canelo's cold and brutal response, and even making it public that he wants nothing lower than $150 million, Turki also made a public announcement of walking away from the fight. In a surprising twist, the deal to secure Canelo versus Crawford fell through, leaving fans still dreaming of the potential matchup. Turki Alalshikh announced on social media that he is shifting his focus to the US boxing market and outlined his promotional plans for 2024-2025. Alalshikh wrote, "Just wrapped up an important meeting now with my team, planning for the upcoming fights that we will make for 2024-2025. He revealed that after a crucial meeting with his team, he decided to no longer pursue the Canelo fight, instead concentrating on major US-based bouts, particularly those involving Terence Crawford. He added, I decided to disregard the Canelo fight, as I don't want it anymore. Instead, I will be focusing on the US market with bigger fights, especially for the legend Crawford." Canelo Alvarez then disclosed in a public appearance that Turki Alalshikh had reached out to him with a proposal to fight Terence Crawford in February next year. However, Canelo declined to entertain the discussion, explaining that his current focus is on his upcoming title defense against Edgar Berlanga on September 14th. Canelo Alvarez made it clear that he wasn't pleased with the way Turki Alalshikh approached him regarding a potential fight. He emphasized that he didn't achieve his career success because of anyone else, and that he now has the freedom to make his own decisions. Canelo stated that if Turki wanted to work with him, it would have to be on his terms, not the other way around.
My response to Turki is this. Yesterday, they text me. They text me and say, we can talk about the fight in February with Crawford. Yeah. They text me yesterday, and I say, look, I'm not gonna talk about any other fight. I'm focused 100% on this fight. Look, I don't like the way he talk, and I'm not in this position because of any. I'm in this position. If he wants to work with me, it's in my way, not in their way.
What was
I don't need it.
What didn't you like about how he approached? Like, what was
It's not the way to approach. It's not the way to approach to me. Look, I respect everybody and I respect Turki, but look, if he wants to work with me, it need to be in my way.
Canelo Alvarez's response to Alalshikh's proposal was far from enthusiastic. Canelo, who has always been selective about the fights he takes, indicated that he wasn't particularly interested in the Crawford fight. While Alalshikh was reportedly willing to offer a substantial sum, Canelo's rumored asking price was significantly higher, possibly reaching $200 million. In this back-and-forth brawl, Turki then apparently got offended by his demand and public statements. He made it clear that any negotiations for the fight would have to go through him directly, without any intermediaries. The situation became more public as Alalshikh voiced his frustration with the negotiations. He hinted that Canelo was making excuses to avoid the fight by setting his financial demands unrealistically high. He wrote, "I heard what Canelo said, that he respects me but doesn't like the way we do business. As for him respecting me, it doesn't matter to me if he does or not." Alalshikh, however, suggested that Canelo's criticism was rooted in a preference for easier opponents. This remark hinted at Canelo's reluctance to take on more challenging bouts, particularly after his loss to Dimitri Bivol. He stated, "As for the way I do business, I know why he doesn't like it, because I only target big fights at fair prices, so of course anyone who likes easy fights won't like that." He was clear that it wasn't he who was shying away from top-tier matchups, implying that the issue lay with Canelo's reluctance. Further emphasizing this point, Alalshikh added, "And I know how he feels after losing to Bivol, so he's been looking for easier fights ever since. Also, I'm not the one who's afraid of fighting Benavidez or Crawford." While the exact financial demands were not disclosed, rumors suggest that Canelo was asking for $150 million, a sum that would rival the earnings of Floyd Mayweather Jr. in his fight against Manny Pacquiao. Alalshikh viewed these demands as a strategy to avoid the fight altogether. He remarked, "Therefore, I knew he was wasting our time and making excuses with big amounts of money that can't be paid." Oscar De La Hoya recently commented on Canelo Alvarez's demand for $150 million to fight Terence Crawford, expressing his views on the matter. He acknowledged and respected Turki Alalshikh's efforts to make the best fights happen, noting that many fighters often outprice themselves, which results in fans missing out on great matchups. De La Hoya praised Alalshikh for being willing to pay significant sums to secure big fights, but emphasized that these amounts are reasonable and not absurd. He used Canelo's demand as an example.
The one thing that I respect about Your Excellency and Turkey is he wants to make the best fights. That's basically it. And a lot of fighters, they outprice themselves, therefore the fans lose, and we can't watch those fights. But now Turkey's coming in, paying money, but he's not paying absurd amounts of monies that fighters are not, worth. He's being reasonable. He's paying premiums, but perfect example is Canelo wanting $200 million to fight against Crawford. In other words, that means he doesn't want to fight. That's basically it. So I just feel that Turkey is a breath of fresh air. He's making the fights that people want to see, and we're all working together.
Oscar De La Hoya also criticized Canelo Alvarez's demand for $200 million to fight David Benavidez, describing it as an absurd request that suggests Canelo is not genuinely interested in making competitive fights. He praised Turki Alalshikh for his approach to promoting boxing, calling him a savior for the sport. De La Hoya highlighted how Alalshikh is working to make the best fights happen by offering reasonable financial incentives to fighters without resorting to extreme amounts. De La Hoya called on Canelo to reconsider his approach, urging him not to ruin boxing for all of us by making it impossible to arrange the high-quality fights that fans want to see.
Why can you not give us Canelo Benavidez? Why? Canelo, why? I do not understand it. You're demanding $200 million? So basically Canelo doesn't want to give us the good fights. When you have Turkey, who is making the best fights, who literally wants to make the best fights, and he's forking over the bill? Be my guest. Please, make more. It's great for boxing. He's literally saving boxing. And this is what I've been talking about all along. He's a savior to the sport. He has deep pockets, obviously, and he wants to make the best fights happen. Canelo, don't screw it up for us.
Alalshikh reportedly disclosed that Canelo refused to meet with him in person and has shown little interest in negotiating deals, primarily due to his high financial demands. This has sparked criticism, with some accusing Canelo of avoiding a fight with David Benavidez by pricing himself out of the market. Alalshikh's efforts to secure popular matchups have been met with resistance from Canelo, who continues to pursue less desired fights.
Actually might be my favorite one so far. So it turns out I'm not the only one who thinks Canelo is an arrogant piece of shit. Turki Alalshikh recently revealed that Canelo refused to meet with him in person and isn't entertaining any deals to be done with him. Why? Because he's outpriced himself so much that the Saudis don't even want to deal with him. And it's all because he will do anything not to fight David Benavidez. Look, Turkey is trying to make the best fights that everybody wants to see. And Canelo continues to take the fights that nobody wants to see.
Where everyone is willing to see Canelo get on the terms and ring, Canelo only wants the right money. Canelo Alvarez talked about his possibility of fighting Crawford with the YouTube podcast channel, emphasizing the differences in their weight classes and the challenges such a bout would present. While acknowledging Crawford's talents, Canelo downplayed the difficulty of the matchup from his point of view, stating, "I think Crawford, don't get me wrong, he's a great fighter, but for me, in my weight class, it's an easy fight for me, easy money. So if the money is right, I'm in." This statement has sparked ignition as Crawford is the best P4P in the world at the moment, and has been moving the weight classes from 135 to 154 recently, and still undisputed in all 4 of them. Canelo also explained his reluctance to engage with fighters like Crawford, who typically rely on movement and agility in the ring, as this can lead to less exciting bouts. He noted, "I don't like to fight guys like Crawford because they move a lot, and the fight is not that great." However, he observed a shift in Crawford's style, saying, "I saw Crawford in the last fight, and he doesn't move that much now, so if the money is right, why not?" In a recent interview, Terence Crawford fired back at Canelo Alvarez, addressing what he sees as contradictory behavior from the Mexican star. Crawford highlighted Canelo's refusal to take their fight due to concerns about size and credit, pointing out that Canelo has frequently fought smaller opponents throughout his career. Crawford referenced past bouts where Canelo created his own catchweight and took on fighters like Floyd Mayweather and Amir Khan, both of whom were notably smaller at 154.
It's crazy, and it makes me laugh with all the antics that Canelo is doing and saying in the media and whatnot about the size, and he won't get no credit and all this type of things. But Canelo been fighting smaller guys his whole career. Canelo been making his own catch weight for years. You know, Canelo fought a smaller Mayweather. Canelo fought a smaller
Crawford also emphasized that despite Canelo's arguments, a fight between them would be financially lucrative, potentially more so than many of Canelo's previous matches. He questioned why, if business is truly Canelo's priority, he would avoid a fight that could generate significant revenue.
So Jamel Charlo, and I'm pretty sure he didn't make as much money with all those guys except Mayweather, even Berlanga right now, that he will with me. But yet and still, you know, he have all these excuses why he don't want to take a fight with me. If it's all about business.
Terence Crawford, clearly frustrated with Canelo Alvarez's dismissive comments, pointed out a significant contradiction in Canelo's stance. Despite Canelo's claim that a fight against Crawford would be easy work, the financial demands he has placed tell a different story. Canelo has reportedly asked for $200 million to fight David Benavidez and $150 million to face Crawford. Crawford suggested that Canelo's high financial demands indicate that he sees Crawford as a genuine threat. Crawford articulated this sentiment when he added, "I heard him say I'm easy work. If I was easy work, you would take all that money that he's offering you, but yet still he wants $200 million to fight Benavidez and $150 million to fight me. So that just lets me know right there that I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to his legacy." Crawford highlighted the challenge he would present to Canelo, noting that it would be remarkable for a fighter who started at 135 pounds to move up to 168 pounds without any catchweight stipulations and dethrone him. Crawford suggested that this scenario likely weighs heavily on Canelo's mind, acknowledging that Canelo would be facing a versatile and dangerous opponent who can box, move, and punch effectively. Crawford argued that Canelo cannot afford to slip up in a fight against him, as it would risk damaging his reputation, especially among his Mexican fan base.
Because it would be crazy for a guy that started at 135 to come all the way up to 168, your weight, no catch weight, no none of that, and dethrone you. So, you know, he got that in the back of his head. You know, this guy, for one, he's tough. For two, he's a boxer. He moves. He can punch. He can do it all. I can't slip up and lose to this little guy. Then what will my fans think of me? What will my Mexican people think of me? So, you know, it's a big risk for him. Like he said, he don't get nothing out of it, but he does get a lot of it out of it. You know, none of those guys was pound for pound best fighter in the world that he fought when it was coming up in weight.
In his continued response to the situation with Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford expressed his disapproval of how his name was used in the promotion of fights, specifically calling out Eddie Hearn for allegedly leveraging his name to generate hype. Referring to Eddie Hearn because recently we have seen Buds and Eddie getting into verbal jabs in one-on-one social media as well. Crawford stated, "Canelo, he got a fight coming up, so I never want to make it about me and Canelo, just like when I was getting ready for my fight. I felt it was disrespectful for Eddie Hearn to lie and say, 'Oh, we had to use your name to promote the fight. We didn't use Canelo's name to promote anything.'" He continued to express his frustration with the notion that his name was used to sell fights, particularly when he was focused on his own bout preparations. Crawford added, "He's trying to stay friends with Canelo, but it's disrespectful to me. Anytime they ever gave me any question about Canelo, I shut it down, just like, I'm pretty sure he has shut it down. I'm focused on one person. So for him to say we had to use his name to sell the fight is disrespectful." On August 3rd, Terence Crawford made a significant leap in his career by moving up in weight classes to face Israil Madrimov. Originally starting his career at 135 pounds, Crawford has gradually climbed the divisions, and this fight at 154 pounds marked another challenge in his quest to establish himself across multiple weight classes. In the ongoing discussion about Terence Crawford's potential to move up in weight classes, Eddie Hearn offered his perspective on the challenges Crawford faces. Hearn acknowledged that Crawford has already made significant leaps, starting his career at 135 pounds and now competing at 154 pounds. Hearn noted that this is a considerable amount of weight to put on and then move within, and while he believes Crawford is one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, the physical demands of moving up even further would present a significant challenge. Hearn expressed concern that despite Crawford's exceptional skills, he would be very outsized if he moved up to fight at 168 pounds against someone like Canelo Alvarez.
How is Crawford going to be able to bridge this weight gap?
Yeah, I don't think he can,
Canelo?
in all honesty. I mean, he might not be able to bridge it on Saturday.
Yeah.
So,
one weight class.
68, yeah, but you're coming up from 35. 35, 40, 47, 54. Sooner or later, it's one too many. And 68 is definitely too many. But Crawford's brilliant. Like, he's a genius. He's a generational great. So maybe he can find a way to do it. But I feel he'd be hugely outsized against Canelo Alvarez. Yeah. But you have to use your movement if you're Terence Crawford in that fight. The last thing you want to do is stand and trade. He'd be moving a lot in that fight, trust me. I'm not saying he'd be running, but he would be moving a lot. Of course, that's the way to beat him.
Yeah.
If the fight does eventually come together, it will undoubtedly be one of the biggest events in recent boxing history, drawing fans from around the world and potentially setting new financial records. Terence Crawford, on the other hand, has been in hot watts for his last performance against his performance. Despite securing a victory over Israil Madrimov on August 3rd, Terence Crawford's performance raised some concerns among boxing analysts. While he managed to win by unanimous decision, the fight revealed some vulnerabilities. Madrimov's speed and power troubled Crawford at times, leading to a performance that some felt lacked the usual dominance expected from Crawford. This has sparked discussions about whether Crawford, who started his career at 135 pounds, can effectively continue moving up in weight classes. Reports have surfaced suggesting that the Crawford-Madrimov fight may have underperformed in terms of pay-per-view sales. The event was the first one that was held outside Saudi Arabia from Riyadh season and was broadcast by DAZN, ESPN+, orchestrated by His Excellency Turki Alalshikh. Director-producer Jed I. Goodman highlighted a quote from veteran combat sports journalist Kevin Iole, stating, "The Crawford-Madrimov card in Los Angeles last week, the first Riyadh season event put on by the Saudis in the U.S., likely lost more than 10 million, several sources told KevinIole.com. The pay-per-view sales were negligible. This suggests that despite the high-profile nature of the event, it struggled to achieve significant financial success through pay-per-view, indicating challenges in drawing a large audience for this particular matchup. The financial loss reportedly exceeded $10 million, underscoring the risks involved in international boxing promotions, even when backed by substantial resources and prominent figures like Turki Alalshikh. Jeff Mayweather also talked about the reactions the fans were going to give after Terence versus Madrimov, and how they'd think that his punches were not as effective as they were in the lower weight classes. He acknowledged that Crawford could perform well if he prepared correctly, but also noted the doubts that arose after Crawford's recent fight. Despite these concerns, Mayweather emphasized the importance of taking risks in boxing as part of achieving greatness. He said, "I think that if he prepares right for Canelo, he's going to do well. But the one thing is this, right now, after seeing this fight, a lot of people are going to think that he's not going to be able to beat Canelo, and he might not. But the thing is, that's part of being great. You take risks." Comparing both the fighters, Canelo and Madrimov, Eric Roman, a respected boxing analyst, gave a detailed analysis of how the fight went and how it might go for Terence. He compared the styles of Israil Madrimov and Canelo Alvarez while discussing Terence Crawford's performance. He highlighted Madrimov Madramov's herky-jerky and awkward fighting style, which makes him a challenging opponent for anyone, including top fighters like Crawford. Roman pointed out that Canelo, in contrast, is more of a traditional fighter who stands in front of his opponent with good head movement, but lacks Madramov's unpredictable style. Roman explained that while Madramov's unorthodox approach posed significant difficulties, Canelo's more straightforward style might make it easier for Crawford to find opportunities in a fight. However, he also noted that this doesn't necessarily mean Crawford would dominate Canelo, but it does suggest that Crawford would be competitive in such a matchup. Roman concluded that although Crawford might not easily defeat Canelo, the fight would still be highly entertaining and competitive.
It's a tough call because Madrimov is so awkward, right? His herky-jerky, like bobblehead style, you know, feinting and all that, like, that's a tough match for anybody. I mean, even I think Boots will have a hard time with Madrimov. I mean, he'll beat him, but, you know, I think a lot of these guys, you know, Virgil Ortiz, I think they'll all have a hard time with Madrimov, and people are not, like, you know, giving that guy enough credit. Canelo's more of a stand in front of you. Yeah, he has good head movement, but he's not like herky-jerky. He's going to be there for you. And so, what did it show me? What did it prove to me? I mean, it proved to me that Bud will be competitive with him. Absolutely. You know what I mean? It didn't prove to me that Bud will, you know, go in and annihilate Canelo. Nah, but I think it'll be a great fight. You know what I mean? I think it'll be a great fight, and I think that you know.
Now, whether Crawford would get a chance to fight Canelo or not, they are giving fans a big show to watch. What is your stance on Terence's last performance? And Canelo not getting into the ring with either Terence or Benavidez? Do you think is he a duck too? Do let us know your thoughts and share with your friends too.